I didn't want the business to be dependent upon me, you know? So, um, that's been kind of a running theme this last trip out. What I've been finding is that, and this happened when I was traveling like nearly every week, doing 3, 4 hot spots a week, was that I would like center on a theme that seemed to make sense, seemed to make sense in our system, and making it simple for people to understand. And you know, like, I don't even know if I've ever I've done this talk, some elements of this talk in Cincinnati, but I don't know that I ever. I guess I forget sometimes what I teach you guys and what I teach when I go on hotspot meetings. But so, for example, like Andrew, okay, have you gone a week where you didn't turn any business in, even though you ran appointments? Do you ever get blanked out? Yeah, it happens. You get blanked out, even if. Right, right. Cord, does that happen to you? Okay. Paul Manius, does that happen to you? Hope you feel better, dude. It happens to everybody. Like when I got in, it happened to me. Like my I would do this. My production would go like that. I'd have some good weeks and some medium weeks and some bad weeks. I mean, it looks like a heart in atrial fibrillation. You know, that little beep 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 beep. You know, I mean, that's just how it is. I really don't know of anyone who's ever been consistent. Like I remember one year looking at how many people did $20,000 a month issue paid every single month without going below 20,000. In one year, there was only one person out of thousands of writing agents that did consistently over 20,000 a month issue paid. Even the top agents went down from 20, as low as like $5,000 to $10,000. You know, even the top agents, they take a break or, you know, they kind of get in a lull or whatever, you know. So do you think, man, when they turn in less business, they're going to make less money? I mean, it sounds like an obvious question, right? But yes, the answer is yes. And so I figured out early on, I mean, I wanted to build a team right away. I mean, I knew one thing I learned and why I got into multi-level marketing, the Amway business, is because I didn't want everything to be dependent upon me. I didn't want my income to be totally dependent upon me. I wanted my income to come from the law of large numbers. So look, if you got people that do this in production, which are most people, okay? And who are you going to build your business with? Most people. And you know, in NAA, you have most people. You know, you only have about 3% that do 20,000 a month anyway, right? You only have 3%, like statistically in NAA, any 1 month, there are only 3% that have 20,000 issue paid or more in a month. All right? You're going to have 72% and a very tight standard deviation of that, they'll do below 5,000 in a month. Okay? So who are you going to really build your business with? The 3% or the 72? You're going to have a majority of 72% people in your business, right? And each one of these people, regardless of 20,000 or 5,000 or in between, are all going to have up and down weeks. And so it's like, so how do you, you know, when you have up and down weeks, you have up and down income. And when you have up and down income, that doesn't make your spouse very happy. I should know. You know, when she wonders, okay, honey, are we going to have any money in the account this week? Just because she has to ask that question means that that ain't good. Honey, do we have enough money in the account to pay the mortgage? If you ever get that question, then dude, you need to do something about selling. You need to keep selling, but here's what you also need to do is you need to keep building, okay? Because look, here's what I know. I would have an up and down week, but because I had Patrick Connors, who would have an up and down week, and then Mike and Llewellyn Levitovich would have up and down weeks, and they found people that had up and down weeks, and they found people who found people that had up and down weeks, and these people found people that had up and down weeks, and Kyle Cater would have an up and down week, and he found a whole bunch of people, and Paul Epstein would have an up and down week, and Joe Dukes would have an up and down week, and Adam Hinckley would have an up and down week, and then I'd have Cord Goodson who'd have an up and down week, and Andrew Peters who'd have an up and down week, and Cord would find Ellery would have an up and down week. See, when I had a team of people that did up and down weeks, guess what happened to my income? See, that was my personal production income. But then my override income was smooth as glass. And then the more people that I brought on board, do you see the difference? To where most of my money was coming from the steady income and less of my money came from my sporadic income by being a producer. Like, does this make sense? The law of large numbers will kick in and help you steady your flow of income than your own personal production. Am I making sense, or does that not make sense? I mean, why the heck wouldn't you? Remember, the premise of 100% commission is that you're not getting a paycheck every week just for showing up. In our business, when you show up, you may or may not get a paycheck. You just have to show up often, 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 and over time, you're going to have great weeks, you're going to have bad weeks, you're going to have medium weeks, but you're going to have overall. But I tell you, you can't predict when the chargebacks are going to come. It could come at the worst time when you got to pay your mortgage. I promise you, man, you never want to hear that from your spouse. You never want to hear, honey, do we have enough money in the account to pay the mortgage? I mean, don't you hate hearing that? And don't answer that question in your own mind. When your spouse has to ask you that question, then what you're doing isn't working. Okay? That's why this works way better. Your spouse won't ask you a question like this when you got all kinds of people that are contributing to your override income, that smooths your income out, and like clockwork. The other feature about this is you always have a buffer in your account. Like we have probably a $10,000, $15,000 buffer. So like, isn't it cool where if I were producing, that it goes up and down at 10 to 15,000 buffer. Like, so if it drops down to 10,000 buffer instead of 0. You know, I mean, can you remember when I got in, it was like 0. That's where I was hovering, around 0. So we go into the red on the bank account. Anyway, I hope this point is making a point. You know, why? That's why sometimes top producers, they get stuck because they haven't built a team. Like, kind of, here's a scenario of a top producer. I'm talking like mega producer, top producer scenario. Okay, why do top producers quit us? Like after the trip, after the award trips, you're going to have a bunch of top producers quit. They quit every year. It's just what happens, right? Is because top producers just stop making money, and when their nut was down here at $5,000 a month, right? So they learned how to produce, okay, enough money where they made their nut month after month after month. Okay, because their activity level was high. Maybe they're doing 15 appointments a week. The only problem is when you're running at a level 15 appointments a week and you're making, 10,000, what happens is you start believing that you're the man or you're the woman, you make a lot of money. All of a sudden the nut starts creeping up. Okay, the nut starts creeping up, starts going from 5,000 to 6,000 to 7,000. You buy a nice car that you have a car payment on. You start increasing your lifestyle thinking that you're the man just because of your ego. And now your nut is 10,000 a month. And now you start having to produce just to meet your nut. Okay? And then what happens is they get offered 5% or 10% more commission so they can get some breathing room with another agency, and then they leave. The top producer leaves. That's the cycle. I've been in the 16 years, and I've seen it year after year after year after year. I mean, statistically, I did a study. I looked at 7 years of top 10 producers, the top 10 in NAA. I took 7 consecutive years, right? 7 years of top 10, top 10, top 10, top 10, top 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, top 10, okay? The top 10 income earners, producers, that's 70 slots, right? You got 10 per year, that's 70 slots. Do you know how many agents were, you would think that maybe there was a whole bunch of consistent agents. That's not the case. There are probably like 50 to 60 names, different names. That's right. About 50 to 60 different names. Actually, it's more like 60. 60 different names of people to fill those 70 slots. There's probably there's only 5 agents that had 3 years, consecutive years, 3 different years they were on the top 10. There was only 5. And of all these 60 agents, when we did this study at this, I forgot what the year was, but there was only 3 that were left with us, still producing. Actually, I'm sorry, there was 5. 5 at the time. And 2 or 3 of those became big builders. Okay, so does this prove my point that the big top producers only with us for a little bit, for a few years, and they're going to quit? It's just what it is. Does that make sense? That's the effect. The effect of being top producer whose nut keeps going up and then they leave. That's like, That's why I say, man, you don't build your business on 3%. You build on the 72%. Right? Now, the first level of building a business, I like to look at it as an agency manager level. You're at an 85% commission rate. You have a key leader, a team leader, a business promoter, and an IBA. You're doing 50,000 of issue paid premium. You have 20. What's it? This is 8 unique writing agents, 7, 3, 1, and 1. So you got 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, at least 20 unique writing agents, roughly. Yeah, so you got 8 as a key leader, 7 as a team leader, 3 in a business promoter. Yeah, so you got 20 unique writing agents. Is that right? Yeah, I think that's right, like 20 unique writing agents. And that's how you go agency manager. An agency manager, you are what I call in the green. In other words, you are, okay, this is an old chart, but Okay, so agency manager, right here, agency manager, you get to the first bonus levels. You start making bonuses. You start partaking in the bonus program. You get tremendous edification for being a leader in the business. All right. So, so like the first step is to get to agency manager. I mean, you want to get to key leader first, and then duplicate yourself once through a key leader to get agency manager. So the average agency manager, they go agency manager, I don't know, 4 to 6 years. You know, one time Patrick and I looked at all the agency managers, and we looked at how long they've been with us. You know, I mean, that's kind of the bell curve is 4 to 6 years. Some took 7 plus, and others, you know, I think the lowest one is like 3 years. I think that might be 3 years, but you know, they're at the tail end of the bell curve. You know, so most likely it's 4 to 6 years roughly. And really what this concept, I like to call it, because to go agency manager, literally the maturity of agency manager starts off really like high school. Okay, it's really interesting. It's really like high school, because high school is what? You go through your freshman, sophomore, your junior, and your senior year. Okay, so this is like high school. Going agency manager is like going through high school. There's a maturity aspect to the business. And you know, people go, why does it take that long? It's like, it just takes that long because it takes that long. I mean, if you're in the business long enough, you're going to mature. If you do everything that our system requires, you're going to automatically mature. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to learn. You're going to, okay, but there's a process. That's why it takes 4 to 6 years, okay? Like in high school, if you graduated from high school, you probably didn't even worry about going from your freshman to your sophomore year, sophomore to junior, junior, senior. You just made sure you showed up to class, make sure you did your homework, right? That you turned in your papers in, and you came to the tests on time. And you just, if you did your thing, you would get pushed from your freshman to sophomore, junior, senior. You didn't have any doubt, right? You didn't have any doubt. If you got at least a C average and you kept your nose clean, you knew you were going to graduate, pretty much. It wasn't like any fear of graduating. You knew it would happen. There was like no doubt at all. Have any of you on the call, have you ever doubted that you would get through high school? No, I mean, you just showed up, you did your thing, had fun with your friends, and it would just happen. Well, this is the same thing with us. If you go through your freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year with us, you're going to graduate and get your AM certificate, okay? You become an agency manager, right? But there's a portion before agents getting into high school, that's elementary school or middle school, right? And so what do I call people here? All the people doing this are people all they worry about are sales. People who sell stay here in elementary school and middle school, okay? When they make the decision to start recruiting, and they actually start recruiting, because you can make a decision about all day long, which is what a lot of people do here. But when you make your decision to recruit and put the effort behind it, that's when you graduate to high school, okay? You start to produce, you're producing, and you want to recruit, and you start to recruit. Now you're recruiting your freshman year, your whole freshman year, you're still trying to figure it out. Figure it out, okay? You're still getting the sales part done, okay? You're sort of just learning how to get that income going on the selling part. You might be placing some ads, but you're not doing it, but you're not doing it consistently every week. You talk to people, okay, they may or may not be getting in. You're just kind of struggling, trying to figure out how to do it. Okay, you're trying to fit it in your schedule, but you're just still not consistent. You're doing some of the 18-player steps, but you're not doing all the 18-player steps consistently. There's just a lot of fluctuation here. You seem to get a lot of negative that you can't handle. Okay, there's a lot of negative things that you're trying to deal with, both in your life and in our business. Okay. I'm going to mute. Okay, so you're just still you're just kind of figuring out. You're sort of wandering around. I remember my freshman year at the academy, I was kind of wandering around and going, man, what's going on here? Actually, my freshman year at high school, it seemed like I had a headache the whole year. Just trying to figure it out and figure out what I'm doing and trying to get into a regular schedule. I had a lot of distractions that I couldn't get away from, okay? But I still maybe found one or two people, 2 or 3 people, got them in class or whatever. Well, to move on to your sophomore year is some of the same as this, but now you start gaining a little more stability in your NAA life. Okay, you gain a little more stability. There's a little bit more maybe consistency in what you're doing. You become more consistent, but you haven't totally given yourself away. You haven't totally made that quality decision that this is what you want to do with the rest of your life. You're still deciding here if this is going to work for you. All right, you're still deciding if this is going to work for you. Your belief level still kind of goes up and down. Okay, you trust that the system works because you see everyone else working the system, is working for them, but you're wondering if it could work for you. So there's kind of a self-image thing. Your self-image you still need work on because you don't really know if you deserve to become an agency manager, if you deserve to make a lot of money, okay? But you're starting to get more consistent. Your consistency level starts to go up. You're starting to understand your recruiting skills go up. Your people skills get way better. You start learning your people skills because you do the recruiting and selling a lot more, okay? You're handling distractions better. You're handling the negative better, where you don't need to talk to your upline about handling negative as much. You're still stuff you're trying to deal with. But the biggest thing here, and one of the things about is that now you're bringing on agents, but agents are driving you crazy, okay? Driving you crazy because they're not as good as you are, and you're mad at them because they're not as good as you are. And they keep asking you stupid questions like how to download software and how to handle objections, and you'll react to them like, God, I can't believe you're asking me that stupid question again. You actually might say that. Your sophomore year, you got some people skills, but you're still trying to figure out, these agents are driving me crazy, And the other thing your sophomore year is you're looking at agents as far as what they can do for you to move up the levels. You're trying to get this guy to be your key leader. You're trying to get this guy to be your team leader. You're trying to get this guy to be your BP. You're trying to get people to do things for you to move up, right? And that's what drives a lot of this agents driving you crazy thing, is that you get mad at them because they aren't doing anything. And in your mind, maybe subconsciously, they're not doing anything to help you, okay? And this is where a lot of agents struggle. Like I said, 6 years, 7 years, that's because they flunked their freshman and sophomore year and they languish here for a while. But as long as they don't quit, they'll move on. But once they figure that part out, then they get to their junior year. And this is where things start coming together. Now they have a stable schedule. In other words, their family life is stable. Their income is becoming more stable. They're starting to get people to produce. Okay, the biggest thing in your junior year is now you read. I know, your freshman and sophomore year, you say you read. When someone says, you've read this book, you don't want to be left out. You want people to look at you as a leader, and you kind of tell a white lie. You read the title. So it's like, does reading the title in your mind, you're going, yeah, reading the title counts. So I read the title. You raise your hand. Okay, you're not being truthful because you don't want to be, but here, your junior year, you actually start to read. Honestly, this is the biggest demarcation from your sophomore year to junior. You actually start to read every night. And you're reading more than one book a month. This is when your reading starts amping up. And what you find in your reading is that and then you add your work ethic. Your work ethic gets consistent. You're selling and you're recruiting every dadgum week. Doesn't mean you're getting results every week, but you're doing the do every single week after week after week after week after week. You're walking and talking the business. So you're reading, your work is, and then what happens when you add reading to work, your self-image goes way up. Now you start to believe, hey, I think I could deserve to become an agency manager. And then your association goes up. You start going to a ton of instant thunders to get around Andy. You hop into plane with him to get more association. You drive a few miles. You do a bunch of extra stuff to get around the top producers. You hear about the Lampies or Fitz or Davies or one of the top leaders are doing a boot camp that might be 3 hours away. But so you'll take time out of your schedule to go drive just to hang around Stephen Davies, just to hang around Fitz or Lampy. That you get around those Paul Roberts, you get around those guys. Jason and Tawny Carey. You'll go the extra mile. This is where you implement the extra mile. You associate going the extra mile. This is where the Napoleon Hill Think and Grow Rich starts kicking in, where you start going the extra mile. And the key thing is now it's not, agents aren't driving you crazy. You start to develop patience for agents because you know that you're in it now just to help others. Help agents get their needs and goals. So they don't drive you as crazy. You become more patient. You talk to them more. You're in it to help others, to help them. And you going to agency managers by virtue of the people that you're helping, not you focus on what they can do for me. And so you're not mad at them anymore. You're thankful that you have people calling you. You have this attitude of gratitude that people are calling you, right? And now this becomes, instead of a job, it becomes a vocation. NAA is who you are. It's not what you do. The alliance is who you are. It's not what you do. Okay, and then you just start putting the work in. You're loving on people. You're more patient with them. You're reading like a crazy person. And you're working consistently. Your self-image starts popping up. By this time, when people start reading you as someone who cares, then you're going to start attracting a whole bunch of people. And by this time, probably from here, the people that tolerated you, you're going to find your key leader. Your key leader is going to come out of the people that you find here. And that key leader, he or she has to go through their freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior year too. Okay? So the time to get the key leader, they might be in their sophomore, junior year, right? And then what happens your senior year is that you earn the fruits, you continue to do the same, plus you do more association. So the difference between your junior and senior year is you continue to do what you're doing, and you associate like everything possible opportunity you can to get around the top people. All right? So you got it locked down here, you do the same thing, and then boom, you're going to graduate. You're going to become an agency manager because you're going to find someone to duplicate you. All right? And that's the key. So this is how you get mature in the business. Like I said, you might stay in your junior year for a couple of years. You might have flunked freshman year and you're still trying to figure it out. But the key is, if you hang in long enough and don't quit, this will work for you. Just like high school. If you show up to class, you do your homework, right? You do your homework, do the work, and you show up, you're going to get pushed along to the process. You can't stop it from happening. It will happen. Okay? So that's why you got to cut yourself some slack, okay, and avail yourself of this process. And then what happens after you graduate, then you got to go to college, okay? College is your freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior year, and then your EVP, okay? And then you go to graduate school to go to board member, okay? So there's another whole process there. So it never ends. But what I'm begging you to do is get out of here, out of middle school, elementary school, and get into high school, right? When you make the decision and you start recruiting, then cut yourself slack and just grow in the system and mature in it. Because by the time you're a senior, the biggest thing is that you're pretty much handling all the negatives on your own. There's not any negative that you can't handle by that time. You'll be learning some new things here, but pretty much you can handle most, like 80% of the negatives you can handle all on your own. because your mind is right, because you're reading and associating. You don't get bogged down by the negative because you know it's just part of the process. All right? And then boom, you become an agency manager, and then you go to college. What I mean by agency manager is real agency manager, not the pop-up hit agency manager once and then you're not agency manager, just a key leader. Okay, I'm saying every month you're an agency manager month after month after month after month. In other words, you qualify because your group, you've created duplication. And also, I'm not talking about fake agency manager. What am I talking about fake agency manager? Okay, my humble but accurate opinion, a fake agency manager is an agency manager that's based on producers. So you could have someone that does $20,000 a month, someone who does $15,000 a month, someone who does $7,500 a month, and someone who does, I don't know, $1,000, and then you do whatever you do, personal production. To me, based on producers, that's a fake agency managership. That's totally fake. I'm not talking about fake agency manager. A real agency manager has a team of people. People doing a little bit, some people doing a lot, but most people that want to come in and build a business, right? So that's the whole idea of the maturity of getting into the business and learning what to do. So I'm going to unmute. Okay, does this make sense? Does anyone have any questions on this? I don't know if I've ever taught this to you guys on a builder's call. Have you guys seen me teach this before? Okay. I've been doing it, but I've been doing it on a board. Yeah, I've had a lot more to it because I've thought about it a lot more and kind of what really qualifies moving people through. So, you know, that's kind of how it works. In my 16 years of being in this business, I've seen a lot and I've kind of watched this process, but I've never really kind of broken it down. But this is kind of how this goes down. Anyway, all right. I hope all that makes sense. So, like, don't quit. Number 1, don't quit. Number 2, don't quit. Number 3, don't quit. Okay. Number 4, don't quit. Number 5, don't quit. Number 6, don't quit. You know, it's kind of like location, 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 right? Chord for real estate. Here it's don't quit, don't quit, don't quit. Because if you hang around long enough and you come to functions and you come to meetings, you're going to hear what you need to hear at the right time. Sometimes you're not ready to hear what you need to hear, and other times you are. You got to be around all the time so you can hear the right things. So anyway, all right, gang, that's about all I have. I'm still kind of feeling the effects of. I had to get up at 4:30 in the morning, or I left Debbie Bent's house at 4:30 in the morning. She let me stay in her guest room, but she lives in Rhode Island, so it took me 3 hours to get from her house to the gate. And I got to the gate about an hour and a half early. So I really kind of left. I was a little paranoid, but I left at 4:30 in the morning. And I'm sitting at the gate, let's see, 4:30, 5:30, 6:30, 7:30. Yeah, so I'm sitting at 7:30. My plane didn't leave till 9. Okay, so I got there plenty of time, but I'm still feeling the effects, man. I'm really kind of tired, but kind of in a good way. Oh, you know, one thing, let me say this. Here, the other thing, okay, let me just add one more thing, is here you're traveling. The other thing I didn't mention, you're traveling to serve the team. You're traveling to serve the team. That's the other thing that makes your senior year to graduate, is you start traveling to serve the team. That's when you become legit agency manager, traveling to serve the team. You're doing hotspot meetings, right? You're serving the team. You're doing more for others than you're doing for your own team. And that's the other thing. That's the last piece. I apologize, that's the last piece. But anyway, I'm glad I remembered that. So, hey gang, think about where you are on that spectrum, on that scale, and then figure out how you get to what you need to do to move beyond that. All right? So, all right, man. Let's rock and roll. Let's make it a great week. And, man, let's do the do. Okay?